Hey guys, Anime West Reacts here. It's coming reaction to Talentless chapter 35. Gonna be trying to cover my plan is to in each of these videos cover an entire arc, which means these are gonna be really long videos. So yeah, this chapter is chapter 35, Gravity Control Part 2, because I recorded Part 1 and then called by my mom for something. So yeah, cover page is pretty nice. It's got Moe with her wires all around her and her making this evilish kind of face. The wires are all entangled around her. So Nana and Moe went after Hikaru at the end of last episode or last chapter, and when they entered the cabin they saw that gravity is just going crazy in it. Everything in there is just floating up into the air. And Hikaru had woke up and asked who's there, and so this is where this one starts off. Nana is kinda bothered. Got Moe hiding behind the door, or where he can't see her, and so Hikaru says Nana-san, and so she turns around. Or he says who's there, and then he's able to make out that it was her. And so she says good evening, and he says did something happen? She says I'm sorry for not knocking, the cottage was unlocked, and he says, or she says I didn't think anyone lived here. He doesn't say anything for a moment, and then says come to think of it, you do go on patrol. Then Nana says, so you're controlling all this with gravity? And he says yes. I see everything is floating around him, clocks, stuff that was dressers and everything pretty much. And so he says if an enemy of humanity attacked me in my sleep, they'd probably end up floating in the air, because you see it's not, I guess, based around anything's weight. It's just anything in the general area. It's caught in his gravity field gets lifted. And so we see that Nana is just outside of it. It looks like you can see that she's right at the door behind this line. So had they actually entered, they would have got caught in the field pretty much. So she just says I see, that's prudent. And then she's just well, good night. And he says thanks for coming, see you at school tomorrow. And then they immediately shut the door and they leave. And then Moe says he really didn't suspect anything, huh? You kind of see the different way they walk and everything. And so Moe's he's naive, and Nana says I'm not so sure, as they stop and look back at the cabin. And Moe says he didn't, or Nana says he didn't dispel his talent even after seeing me. And then Moe's just because he suspects you, that's why I made sure he wouldn't see me with you, and hid immediately. You see her kind of acting it out, she looks, and then she kind of moves really quickly. And she says, and pretty much made sure you wouldn't see me with you and hid immediately, but I've come up with a plan. And you see her sparkling. And she's just her plan is, while you, the suspicious one, distracts him, I, the brand new student, will kill him. And Nana's just kind of not enthused, and she's in other words, you want to do it your way. And so we got the Nana walking up the stairs when, yeah, creepily Moe just staring down them, and Nana's what are you doing this early in the morning? And she says I'm waiting for Hikaru to come. Nana's why? And Moe's to create an opportunity. Oh, there he is. And she's alright. And she throws herself down the stairs. And he screams pretty much wah. And then he goes to, he picks his hand up to use his power, but then he stops. And then lets her fall on her face, and is are you okay? And then she's ouch, that hurt. And he's sorry, I was was so sudden I didn't have time to help you. And then he like reaches his hand out to help her up. Moe says, I was in a hurry because I forgot my textbook. Karu then says, want to go to the nurse's office? And she's like, where's that? Nana's just watching, and then Hikaru's like, alright, you're a new student here. Follow me. So he leads her to the nurse's office. She says, thank you. And Moe looks back up at Nana, because Nana's looking down. Moe puts on this like smug face, and Nana's like, really? And like, why? And so Nana says, so she wanted to create an opportunity to get close to Hikaru, and she's willing to hurt herself to do it. But because Nana picked up on the fact that he didn't save her, it's like, why didn't Hikaru save Moe? It may have been sudden, but the situation didn't seem that different from the other day. And then Nana says, I'll hide in Moe's shadow and carefully observe him. So like, let Moe be the bright one that he sees, while she like hides in the shadows and kind of watches from like the sidelines pretty much. So we go through like a montage of them doing stuff. You got Moe and Hikaru talking, Nana's in the background, and you see like it's sundown, then the sun's risen, so like I guess it's been a day or a few days. So then it's like sundown, and then the sun comes up the next day. Moe leaves him off at his cabin. She like playfully kind of like knocks her food off the table, or she does so intentionally, but she makes it look like an accident, and then he uses his gravity power to pick it up or like stop it and lift it. He has her like flying through the sky, and she's like swimming, and it's like, this is so fun. And he's like smiling, and then got Moguo and Seiya fighting again, and Seiya's like, what's wrong? And it's the truth. And so just kind of spending time together, and Nana taking notes. It says, this morning Hikaru doesn't say Moe as she trips down the stairs. It's like real tiny. Bleh. So it's like real tiny notes, so sorry about this. So it doesn't say her as she tripped down the stairs. 13th afternoon, uses gravity to make the lunchbox Moe dropped on purpose float, can control people and objects in the classroom / location. 14th, Hikaru skips school. 15th, Hikaru arrives late. According to him, something has been thrown. His life has been thrown off balance. Classroom location, can't live an ordinary life. So what? That's what one of the notes says. The 15th afternoon, Hikaru doesn't intervene in Mogul and Seiya's argument. Couldn't intervene, condition of his talent. So sorry about that. Moe's back saying Shinpai, and then she just plops down on the bed, and she's like, what should I do? And then Nana says, you seem to be struggling, and Moe's like, never shows any openings, creates his gravity trap as soon as he gets home, and stays inside. And Nana says she seems to get home and arrive at school at varying times, and then Moe says, so what? And Nana says, nothing, I'm just coming up with theories. After all, there's no rush. And Moe says, my grandma will suffer if I don't make any progress. She's sick, Shiroka-san is taking care of her. To which Nana just looks at her, and then Moe immediately like quickly pushes herself up and says, I shouldn't have said that. I'll have to get closer to him and ask him about his weakness directly. And then Nana like tore up the paper or something. And then she says, I'll think of an idea too. And then she like Moe leaves and she's thinking, or she says, like, think, huh? That's like her thoughts. And she's like brainstorming. Since coming to the island, I have been having these kind of thoughts the whole time. If I keep having these kind of thoughts, what will happen in the future? Will I never be able to escape from this? So it's lunch or dinner, I guess. So everyone's in the cafeteria. And so then Moe says, Hikaru-kun, you're different from the others. Others can be stuck up, but you're so humble and great. And he has like this kind of weird expression. It's like not really happy about hearing that, but more like solemn, I guess, or melancholic. Not really happy, but not really sad. And so Hikaru says, there's nothing great about me. I am a deeply guilty person. And then Moe says, what do you mean? Then Hikaru starts to explain, I guess. Says, when I was a child near my parents' home, a girl I was friends with went missing. And then, Moe says, your family runs a temple, right? And Hikaru's like, everyone said she'd been spirited away, but the day she went missing, she and I were up late playing. I wondered why I wondered why I didn't walk her home. I still regret it sometimes. And then Moe's like sad, says that's why you stay in the mountains. And Hikaru says, I know you're trying to say that I'm unusual, but you're pretty unusual too. Then Nana looks over and then you see a watch. And she thinks of Decker Boy. I forget his name. Nakajima. Yeah. Just thinks back when Nakajima was here and when she was playing his friends and Nakajima saying, you're an unusual girl, or she like imagines this scenario. And she immediately like clenches her fist because she like thought of something like that, and she looks like terrified or like shocked or something like that. Or she was showing regret basically. So she's like very clearly rattled about that kind of thought. So yeah, moving on to chapter 36. Yeah, chapter 35 was good. We got the beginning of this plan by Moe to go after this gravity guy, or Karu, trying to figure out how they can deal with him. Like, they gotta figure out a way around his talent first. So yeah, this chapter is chapter 36, Gravity Control Part 3. Cover is Moe, Karu, and Nana, like, outside the school. Moe's like in front of the camera, and Nana's in the background, kind of like how this situation is playing out, where you got Moe and Hikaru together while Nana's kind of like in the back looking at them. So this chapter, everyone's at the beach. Got Moe and Hikaru playing together. Seiya's talking to Nana, saying, have you heard, Nana-chan? And Seiya's telling her about how they're returning to the mainland, and Nana's just like, apparently. Then Kyoya comes over saying it's the height of summer. Yeah. And yeah, he's like, you guys, you were so motivated when Tsuruka came, but you're slacking off already. So yeah, Kyoya and Fuko are together. And so Seiya's like, now, let's enjoy these island beaches while we can. Besides, and Seiya's like, besides, it's not like you've done anything either. And Kyoya's like, yeah, since the murders have stopped. And Fuko says, Hiragi-san, have you been hearing the voices of enemies of humanity lately? And Nana says, no, they've stopped completely these days. Kyo's like, Hiragi, let me introduce you. This is my friend Serrano Fuko. And yeah, Nana's like, I know. And Kyo's like, but you didn't know she's my friend, right? And Nana's like, more importantly, being sent back to the mainland soon. Are you okay with that, Kyoya-san? And he's like, why? And then Nana says, didn't you come to this island to look for your little sister? And so yeah, he's like shocked because he basically seems like he completely forgot that was his reason for coming here. So he doesn't say anything, and then we got Seiya saying, what? My ring is missing, and his girlfriend's like, what? Because yeah, he does have a girlfriend, he's just not very, get the word, doesn't really come off as very like loyal to her. She's like, what? Because he says that his ring is gone, so he runs off to go looking in the ocean for it. And he's like, I must have dropped it somewhere. I was going to give it to my girlfriend. And yeah. So it's like, it must be here somewhere, and Fuko's like, you dropped it on this beach. And yeah, it's like, or Seiya says the waves may have taken it, please look for it. Nana, Kyoya, and Fuko are just like, yeah, well, there's no way we'll find it ever. So Seiya's like, we'll find it, after all, we're talented. And so he goes around to Moguo, pretty much asking everyone. And he's like begging Moguo to look for it, and he's like, I guess we can look for it, so I doubt we'll find it. So yeah, then girl is just playing in the sand. Nana says, I'll check her bags first, or someone says that. Nana goes over to the bags anyway. And then she's thinking, why is Soroka returning the talented to the mainland? Was it trapping them here and erasing them? Council's goal? And so yeah, she's like hearing noises, and then she's like shocked because someone yells, what's going on? And so yeah, suddenly all of the ocean water just recedes out. And so yeah, I'm always like, what? Where's the ocean? Nana is shocked. And it's like, the waves are receding, and then, yeah, Seiya's like, I don't know who did this, but now's a chance, look for it. And Kyoya's like, hold on, if the ring's already been swept out to sea, I don't think there's any point in making the water recede, no matter how far. And Seiya's like, just do it, please. Everyone's like, can't be helped. And someone says, who isn't controlling all the water in the ocean amazing? And then Nana is looking over at Hikaru because he has the gravity power, so yeah. So yeah, everyone's looking for the ring, and then it goes to later in the day, and Moe is saying we'll attack at night, or attack tonight. And then excuse me, Nana just like talked to her, says, did you finally get tired of waiting? To which she's responded with, I have a plan. Nana just kind of sighs, and then she says, I believe his talent is connected to time somehow. And then Moe is like, what are you talking about? He uses his talent morning, day, and night. And then Nana says, no, strictly speaking, it depends on the day. There must be periods when he can't control gravity. There must be some regularity to it. And then I'm always like, what if it's not time? Then Nana says, I'll approach the problem from a different angle. Besides, we're calling it gravity, but what gravity is? And then Moe's just like, enough. Don't want to hear anymore, too complicated. And she's like, I'm leaving early and attacking tonight. So she runs off on her own. Nana's just kind of like annoyed, basically. So she's thinking, previously I identified any unclear qualities by fighting the talented. So yeah, previously she would just engage them to figure out that kind of thing, but now she can't really do that. And so she thinks, tonight, hon. So we go over to Karu in his room, and he's like sitting there thinking, I wonder why Moe-tan pays special attention to me. And it's like he's just sitting in his room thinking, I don't think she means any harm. And then he like shakes his head and says, no, I don't deserve to have relationships with other people. And so then Moe's like in his room. He says, Card-chan, and he's just like, you scared me. How long have you been there? Because like under like a blanket or something on top of his dresser. And so yeah, Moe says, I was waiting for you. And he says, what's going on? What are you... And then Moe says, what were you just thinking about? And then he says, what? Nothing special. And then Moe says, I'll guess. And then yeah, her wires kick in and wrap around his neck. And so he's just like, why is Moe killing me? And she's just like, right. And then he stretches his hand out to do something, and she says, think about it. Can't use gravity now. As long as I stick close to you, you'll get caught in your own crossfire. You're able to create gravitational fields within certain areas. It's an imprecise talent. That's why everything in this room was floating. I've been watching you. Everything within the same gravitational field is affected. So she like pulls on the wire, and then he manages to touch her, and she goes floating up into the air. And so yeah, that makes her let go of the wires, which she is like shocked about. And so he manages to get the wires off his neck. Says it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence you never saw it. As long as I can touch it, I can select my targets and control the gravity that affects them. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference from what they thought it was. And so yeah, so he's like, so you're an enemy of humanity. She's like, Tisk, what are you going to do to me? And then he says, sorry for lying. And she's like, what? But I was lying to you. And then he says, you're wrong. That's not why I want to apologize. Remember how I told you about the missing girl? That was a lie. And so yeah, you can kind of see that a bit. So he says, truth is, she fell from a tree on the temple grounds. Maybe she felt badly, but I knew instantly she was dead. That's when I thought people would blame me. I'd taken my eyes off her. If people knew someone had died, it would affect the temple's reputation. It would become a huge problem, so I decided to secretly dispose of the body. Like you, I sent her into the air, far, far up into the air. So yeah, he saw this dead girl, didn't tell anyone about it because he didn't want the temple's reputation to get destroyed, so he just took her body and basically threw her into space, is what it sounds like. So he's like, it was a mysterious sight. She was beautiful like the moon in the sky. It was like her soul was climbing to heaven. I thought it was, this is how people become one with the universe. And so you got like him as a kid looking at it all, like extremely happy about what he's doing, and then him currently shut in this shack. And so he's like, that's why I live alone. I knew it was wrong, but and he's like, but I still can't forget how much it moved me. So yeah, it's like crazy face. And then yeah, I'm always freaking out, and then Nana comes in. So he's like, Nana-san, did you hear that? Were you listening? And she's like, I feel conflicted. I'm relieved you're in some ways a bad person. And so he's like, so you heard? And then Moe's like, Nana-san, Shinpai. Moe's like, did you come to save me? And then Hikari's like, Nana-san, please calm down. Moe-chan was trying to kill me. And she's like, yes. That's why you're going to turn her into a star in the sky, right? That's why you're going to turn her into a star in the night sky, right? Then Nana says, about your talent, you didn't save Moe when she tripped. on the stairs. You didn't intervene in a fight when you were asked to, but you saved Mogo's henchman when he fell. You made a falling lunchbox float. Sometimes you stay out late with Moe, other days you suddenly leave in the afternoon. After observing you over a month, I understand the meaning behind your incomprehensible actions. The clue was when you made the seawater recede. And then Mogo was like, that was... And then Nana says, no one came forward to say they did it. If it was you, then why did you hide it? It's because it's related to the basis of your talent, and that led me to a certain idea. So yeah, it's the rise and fall of tides, the movement of the object that causes it, matched perfectly with the times I recorded you using your talent. So yeah, she looks outside and says, it's the moon. Yeah, it's like connected to the moon phases or something, most likely. So yeah, Nana continues explaining. She says, since I called it gravity, my thoughts were focused on the Earth, but your talent is related to the moon's gravity. The moon rises and sets at different times each day. Over the course of a month, there are days the moon rises at 10 p.m. and sets at 9 a.m., and days it rises at 5 a.m. and sets at 7 p.m. So yeah, moon rises and falls, sets at like very different times depending on what day or month it is. So yeah, she says, that's why first glance you seem to use your talent regardless of the time of day, when actually you could or couldn't use it depending on the day. And then yeah, Mogo's like, what's going on? Are you an enemy of humanity? Enemy of humanity too? So you lied about reading minds. If you really could read minds, you wouldn't need to observe me. And Nana says, are you relieved I can't read minds because you're despicable at heart? Because yeah, then he like takes offense to it, and you can like see the look on him, and he's like, what if I am? And she's like, that's what I'm asking. To report your crimes to the authorities, I could call you a degenerate who enjoys making people float. And it says, what will you do? You can only use your talent while the moon is up. The moon will set soon today. You'll become an ordinary talentless human. Bleh. And he's like getting more and more upset, and Nana says, but first, would you like to make me float too? Don't you want to be moved? And you see like this like kind of breaking point, I guess, for him, and he yells, shut up. Immediately he uses his power at her to throw like a breaks off the door or something. And like it's like picking up like all the rocks in the area and the door and everything. He's like, you won't escape. Chases after her, and like it's like, damn it, who is she? And he's like, I. And he's like, I know I did a bad thing. I'm deeply sorry. And then yeah, he's like looking around. He's like, damn it, I need to hurry because like once the moon sets, then his power goes away. Nana says, judging by his reaction, my guess about his talent was mostly right. Now I just need to hide until the moon sets. Then there's like a huge kind of shock wave or shock or something. Then you see like the birds in the sky acting weird, and Nana's like, what is... And so you see the Hikaru is basically like taking a whole tree out the ground. And then that's where this chapter ends. Yeah. Chapter 37. So yeah, like I said, it's probably gonna be like another hour-long video. So. normally don't drink on camera or anything, but yeah. Chapter 37, Gravity Control Part 4, we got Nana surrounded by a bunch of flowers on the cover page with her back turned to us. Yeah. So yeah, he's like, it wasn't just a tree he lifted, he's lifted the whole top of the mountain, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, last chapter we ended it off with just like freaking tree being lifted, and he's like actually lifting the entire top of the mountain. So yeah, he's like, I'm not a degenerate. I just can't forget the sight of a human rising into the night sky. I've suppressed it for so long. And then he like thinks of Nana saying, don't you want to be moved? And then he yells, then let me see it. Let me see it once again. And then we see Jen looking off in the distance because he sees the mountain. And then Jen's like, he's really putting on a show. It reminds me of 5 years ago. So yeah, Jen has seen a lot of crazy supernatural powers just without restraint, really, I guess. So we've got Nana running away from all these trees that are getting uprooted. And so she makes it to like side of a mountain. He's like, she's thinking he's gone crazy. He's making a circular gravitational field to force me out of the woods. It's like a gravity net, and it's gradually shrinking. So she's like, where's the moon? Because she can't see it anymore. And she looks at her, says over there, looks at her phone, it says 11:18 or 11:18 p.m. 30. So Nana says the moon should be setting soon, but I'm not sure my calculations were correct. There's no guarantee the island's coordinates I referenced apply exactly to the restrictions on Hikaru's talent. And she says, no, Hikaru is definitely impatient. Confirming with my own eyes that the moon has set comes first. So yeah, first she needs to see the moon, and then she can make like thoughts. And then she says, and what will I do? Is he really evil? Or is Hikaru truly evil? He says this tornado-esque disaster was the result of my provocation. I knew I wouldn't be able to handle him when he was angry, but normally Hikaru is. And then another tree comes up out of the ground. And then Nana like trips or steps up behind a rock or something. And she like see him pretty much, and so yeah, she can see him, and she says he'll see me if I move out from behind here. And then she's like, not yet, has the moon not set yet? And then rocks come up and like break the ground behind her, I guess. Or yeah, they come up and like the mountain like starts splitting. And so Hikaru says, Nana-san, if you're nearby, please listen to what I have to say. I was wrong. Can't we talk this out? If you're there, come out. Surely we can come to an understanding. Then Nana's thinking, why is he doing this now? Is he pleading for his life because he can't use his talent anymore, or else it's a trap to draw me out? And Nana looks at her phone. It says 11:29:06 now. So yeah, it's 11 o'clock, 29 minutes, 6 seconds most likely. And so she looks at the time and then puts the phone away, and then he says, Nana-san, trust me. And then Nana turns the phone off, I guess, or like turns the power. She thinks, in any case, because she mistakenly thinks about Michiru, because she mistakenly believed I was a good person until the end, my life was saved. And so Nana steps out, so she says, I'll take that gamble. That because Michiru gave her a chance, or she gave Michiru a chance, she's gonna try to give him a chance. And so yeah, he says, Nana-san, and then she walks towards him, and then the sun comes up, or what it looks like the sun is starting to come up, and then she's got like this shock reaction. And then Hikaru is like standing there and says, Nana-san. He's got this like evil, or he had like this evil grin for a second. Then he's like, I'm so glad you're alive. I'm glad you came. That's right, the moon's still out. I can still use my talent, but this doesn't make sense, does it? Why should we kill each other? And then she says, does this mean you've returned to your senses? And then Nana says, does this mean you've returned to your senses? Hikari says, please, Nana-san, calm down. You lied about being able to read minds. I have my own dark past. And then Nana says, what do you want? And then Hikari says, let's go for a walk. Let's start by cooling our heads. And then he like moves his hand. And then Nana says, if you're threatening me, then I don't have a choice. And then he says, sorry. And then there was no helping it. And then Nana says there was no helping it. And then we go to like the edge of a cliff, looking out over the ocean. And Hikaru says, let's first let me apologize. What I did was terrible. And then Nana says, I don't like this place. Because yeah, they're at the cliff overlooking the ocean where Nana killed Nakajima, so she feels bad about that. And so yeah, she very rightfully doesn't like this place. So yeah, Nana says, I don't like this place. Hikaru says, what? Nana says, Moe was a perfect copy of me. She approached her classmates, amicably looked for weaknesses, and in the end, yeah. Then she thinks of Nakajima. She says, he may have actually been a good person like Michiru-chan. And then Nana says, no, he probably was. And then Hikaru says, are you stalling for time? And yeah, she says, you were right, Hikaru says, you were right, I can only use my talent until the moon sets. So if you're waiting for the moon to set, and then he says, no, even if you are, I choose to trust you as friends fighting together against the enemies of humanity. And so yeah, she doesn't know he has to touch her to use the power, so he puts his hand out and Nana goes, yeah. You'd think he would go to shake her hand, and then she pulls the same thing did with Nakajima, where she grabs his wrist and like pushes him off the cliff, but he grabs hold of a branch. And Nana says, you're not like Nakajima. And he's like yelling, you're awful. And then he's saying, Hikaru says, I could have killed you anytime I wanted, but how could you betray me? And Nana's like, don't lie. And he says, I'm not lying. The moon's still out. And Nana says, no, it's already set. And then Hikaru says, impossible, the moon's right over there. And then Nana says, the activation requirement of your talent isn't whether the moon is visible or not. Isn't whether the moon is visible or not. Use your talent even when the sky was too bright to see the moon. I confirmed it numerous times. Did you think I wouldn't notice? And yeah, he's just like freaking out now. Nana says, the Earth's atmosphere is warping the moon's light. It's atmospheric refraction, isn't it? The lower the moon sinks, the more light bends. By the time the image of the moon appears to be setting, the actual moon is already set. And he's like, you Nana says, you couldn't have killed me, you couldn't use your talent anymore, you put on an act in order to deceive me, or if you really wanted to talk things out, why did you lie and have me walk out? Have me walk out here. Why did you offer a reconciliatory handshake when you were holding the string Moe used inside your pocket. Isn't it because you were looking for an opportunity to kill me? So yeah, you did. I did see him put his hand in his pocket. And then he says eek because yeah, he's like all of his plans are falling apart. And then he's like, if I'm wrong, use your Nana says if I'm wrong, use your talent to float back up here before you fall. I'd be happy to talk to you then. So he's like all terrified, and then Nana just it's like, I wish she's like I was naive. Take a chance on the possibility that you'd actually change your ways. And then he says help, and then Nana says but, and then she's like, you were only ever an enemy of humanity, as she like puts her foot on his hands and he yells help me. And so yeah, she pulled him back up. And then she's just like, forget what happened tonight. As long as you spend the rest of your life cowering in fear, I won't tell anyone about your crimes. Talk to anyone or betray me next time, I'll really kill you. In the most brutal way conceivable, too. Do you hear me? And then yeah, so he's like terrified because he seriously thought he was gonna die, but she actually didn't kill him this time when she had him and the chance. She could have killed him. So she goes back to the cabin, tells Moe to wake up. So she sits up and Moe says Shinpai, and then Moe is saying, I hit my head on the floor when he suddenly dispelled his gravitational field. And she's like, thank you, I got ahead of myself. I knew you could do it, Shinpai. You put him down, didn't you? And she says, no. And then Moe says, huh? And Nana says, I didn't want to kill him. And she's like, I won't say I'll never kill again, but I didn't want to this time. And then Moe is shocked and is like, you mean you're a traitor? And Nana just says, you're free to interpret it how you want. And Moe is just like, Shinpai, calm down. And she's like, let me see your phone, remember your mission, look. She's like showing her the whole number thing, and then Nana says, Moe's like, what's gonna happen to Michiru? They won't save her. And Nana looks away, and she's like, got a sweat bead. And she looks away. And then Moe puts the phone back in her hand and says, come on, Shinpai, let's go finish Hikaru. And then Nana breaks the phone. And then Nana says, the most important gift Michiru gave me was to face myself, to face head on how I truly feel. And she says, I won't be anyone's slave anymore. So yeah, next chapter, we move on to the next arc. So yeah, Nana has made her choice pretty much, that she's going to do this her way, I guess, is one way of putting it. So yeah, she had a perfect chance to kill Hikaru, chose not to because she just didn't want to do it. So yeah, just kind of breaking her brainwashing a little bit. So it says next time the story moves to the mainland, entering a new chapter. It says goodbye. Goodbye, I'll uncover everything, and if I discover a satisfactory answer, then. You see like all the characters. Yeah. But yeah. So that's the end of this volume, I'm pretty sure. I got 5, Jenna's on the cover, and it says kill the lies with the truth. That's what I guess would be on like the back of the volume or something like that. But yeah, so we'll see if this is the end of that arc, and then most likely I'll stop. But yeah, overall, pretty good set of chapters. I'd say it was at least 5, 4, somewhere in there. Maybe 3. Yeah, 3 chapters. So yeah, we're on to volume 6. So yeah, Pursuer and Pursued. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe for more anime reaction reviews and manga reviews. Check out the links down below to my Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. Hit that notification bell, share the video, all that stuff. And I'll see y'all next time. So yeah, later.